Good evening. I'm like, what day is it? Good evening. It's Wednesday, and we are here to study the Word. We're here to study 2 Corinthians, chapter 11.
Chapter 11.
So it's a little, it's a different kind of chapter, and that's okay. Like, sometimes we're studying about Jesus' death, Jesus' resurrection, and this one clearly was a problem. It was clearly a problem in the church in Corinth. There were false apostles, and those false apostles took the time and energy to attack the Apostle Paul.
Yeah.
And they accused him of all sorts of things. I'm not exactly sure why. I mean, well, it's a God thing, but for whatever reason, Paul feels the need to defend himself. Is that the word?
I would think so.
So
or present his credentials.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that better. And so we're going to go through this. And, to be honest, like after I read this through a couple times, I was like, Paul's really impressive. Like, I'm not doing any of this stuff. This is amazing, and I need to get it together. Not that I need to be in a shipwreck or flogged or beaten or stoned. Yeah, I don't even need to go to jail. I'm okay. But, he did it all and stayed faithful to God. So anyway, that's what we're going to find out about tonight, and maybe we can get some great nuggets about Paul and even about, how Jesus works. So I think that's pretty fun. So anyway, I don't know. I'm feeling ready. You feeling ready?
Yeah. So this one's a lengthy one. Well, lengthier than the other ones.
We've had some short ones lately.
We have.
So
this is 30 verses. I think we can still manage to do it within about an hour. If not, we're also known to go over.
Hour or two. I'm okay. No, we do want to eat and go to sleep at some point. So we're with you. We all know we got stuff to do. Hey, Tracy is posting.
Tracy.
Hello, sweet lady. Thank you for the compliment. I'm sure you look great too. And hopefully you're in your sweatpants and your sweatshirt and you're hanging out in front of the TV or the computer. Or the phone or whatever, but thanks for joining us.
Liberty on your side or by your feet.
Yes.
Give her lots of pets.
Tell her we said howdy. And your mom too. Hi, Miss Joy. So, but we're rolling into 2 Corinthians 11, and we'll see who else is with us. If you're with us, the little counter says there's more than Tracy here. So if you're with us, we would love it if you would just say hello, just so we know you're here. So we can holler at you. I mean, in a nice way, so we can say hi.
Or give a thumbs up or something.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Hey, hi Trevor. And Jakey. So good to see you guys. Or good to see your wave. And thanks for joining us. All right, well, you ready to crash into this thing?
Yes.
We're crashing.
Let's do it.
All right, thanks.
All right. 2 Corinthians chapter 11. I wish you would put up with a little foolishness from me. Yes. Do put up with me, for I am jealous for you with a godly jealousy, because I have promised you in marriage to one husband, to present a pure virgin to Christ. But I fear that as the serpent deceived Eve by his cunning, your minds may be seduced from a sincere and pure devotion to Christ. For if a person comes and preaches another Jesus whom we did not preach, or you receive a different spirit which you had not received, or a different gospel which you had not accepted, you put up with it splendidly.
It's funny to say that. We can stop right there. Stop through verse 4. So it's kind of cute that he's asking the Corinthian believers here to bear with him as he talks a little foolishness. So that's kind of cute. Foolishness, I know can kind of mean like stupidity. I don't think it really means like stupidity. Rather just like it's not necessarily straight gospel. And so, I don't think Paul is foolish. I think he's just
No,
talking
not at
about,
all.
hey, let's just talk about this, kind of let's get it out in the open. Bear with me. You've heard that, like, hey, bear with me while I tell you this. And and he's just saying, like, I like how he says, I'm jealous for you. I'm jealous for you with a godly jealousy. He does not want to see them drifting away to any false teachings. And I, like we said before, and it'll say it in verse 13, like, I think he needs to say these things to, like, silence some false teachers that are roaming around, and that's okay. So he said, I love your that your translation there at the end of 4. Does it say you put up with it splendidly? So, and he's being completely sarcastic right here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, well, or maybe he's being truthful, but he's being a little ornery in his speech, because he's saying if somebody comes and they bring another Jesus, or they bring another gospel, or if they bring a different spirit, you put up with it. You put up with it. Church in Corinth, like, you might just be being nice, but what you're really doing is that you're literally, like, letting the devil in and just going, of course you can camp here. It's okay. Like, we want, it's like, sometimes you need to have some discernment, and sometimes you cannot allow people with a different gospel, a different spirit, or a different Jesus to hang out in your camp. Just saying. As he says, you put up with it splendidly. That's not a compliment, Church of Corinth. Not a compliment. And oh, hey, Miss Joy, hearts to you, lady.
Hi.
Yeah, not a compliment. And if you think that it is, read it again. He's saying, like, you're not doing it right. But I think it's out of love he's saying all this stuff, because, like he said, like, he wants to present them blamelessly.
Right. Pure. And
yeah, exactly. So that's why he even cares to say anything at all, right? He could let him flail. He could watch him, just move Satan in and give him the whole front row.
Yeah.
And that,
here are the keys again.
Exactly. Here's the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
Here's the keys to the church, whatever. But he's concerned about them.
Yeah.
Paul loves them, I'm pretty sure. And the other thing is, is I think that they, I don't know. Well, why don't you read the next part, and
Sure.
and then I can say what I want to say, because it kind of says it in the next part for me.
Okay. Now I consider myself in no way inferior to those super apostles.
That's funny. What? They're super apostles? No, I'm kidding.
I know, I read that earlier and I was like, super apostles?
Super
Like, wow.
apostles? I guess they're super apostles, but it is in quotes, and so maybe it's maybe he's just talking about, like, marvelous teachers, like, my
Those
preaching can't, like, I can't hold a candle to, like, to the great orators of our day, Greg Laurie, and, like, I mean, like, these guys are amazing preachers, and I'd love to be as good as them on my worst day, as good as them on their worst day. Anyway, you know what I mean? But it's okay, because I don't have to be them. Like, there's only one them. But Paul is saying, like, I don't think I'm actually inferior to them. And I would agree. I think Paul's amazing. And so just because a guy comes on in, like Apollos would come and preach here, and the word on the street is that he was just an amazing preacher, very elegant, very, like, put together. And here's Paul, right? He speaks very simply. The guy's brilliant. Like don't be fooled. He's brilliant. But he comes in, he speaks simply. We know he had, like, a side job, making tents. And
That's right.
so he comes in and he's like, I don't want your money. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna make a few tents over here. And that might have been embarrassing, right? Like, Greg Laurie's church doesn't say, could you also go and sell a few cars, like on Saturday morning to kind of, it's like, no, they show him great respect. They allow him to do so. All of these things, Paul is not. He's not like that. But he says right here, he doesn't think he's inferior to them, to the super apostles. So, hey, Mama Rose.
Hi.
Good to see you. Good to see you. But go ahead and read about what he says in verse 6 and a little on.
He says, even if I am untrained in public speaking, I am certainly not untrained in knowledge. Indeed, we have in every way made that clear to you in everything. Or did I commit a sin by humbling myself so that you might be exalted, because I preached the gospel of God to you free of charge?
Oh, you can keep going.
Okay, it says, I robbed other churches by taking pay from them to minister to you. When I was present with you and in need, I did not burden anyone, since the brothers who came from Macedonia supplied my needs. I have kept myself, and I will keep myself from burdening you in any way. As the truth of Christ is in me, the boasting of mine will not be stopped. In the regions of Achaia, why? Because I don't love. Why? Because I don't love you? God knows I do.
I love that. God knows I do. Yeah, he's speaking kind of differently, just a little bit differently. He is, doing some sarcasm stuff or just like that opposite thing, because I don't love you.
Mm-hmm.
Of course I love you. Hey, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
Good to see you. Good to see you. We were talking about the Apostle Paul. He's kind of funny here in this chapter, but we're gonna kind of lay this all out because it's really important to hear what he's saying. So in verse 6, he said, he may not be a trained speaker. He may not be. Yeah, so that's, so he's kind of saying right there, maybe he's not the best preacher, right, in the land. But it says that he does have knowledge. We do know that as part of the Sanhedrin, he had extensive training. He knew the Torah. He knew the Old Testament. He was a Jew among Jews. And so he was very wise. He was brilliant. And obviously, as he lays out all of the books of the Bible that he has written, we know that he's no dummy.
No,
he's
not at all. I think right here he's trying to say, like, I'm trying to rid myself of myself so that God can speak through me and the Holy Spirit can do its work,
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, I love that.
I don't understand why they didn't understand. But it's good, though.
Yeah.
It's good that we see this because there's still some people here in some churches that, they love the mega churches. They love the super apostles, like he had mentioned, because they're so eloquently spoken and well put together and so pretty, and yet, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like people can be just so proud to be in their presence. They're charismatic. I think many of the people who are watching tonight, you knew my father-in-law, Pastor Billy, and he's a little guy. Pretty soft-spoken, pretty quiet till you got him behind the pulpit, and then,
that's right.
Well, yeah, you better be careful. But he wasn't. He may not have been like the most eloquent. He may not have had like the fanciest of clothes or been, so well spoken. And he would even like tell you what I'm saying. He'd be like, yeah, I'm not fancy. But he loved the Lord. He loved the Lord. And like Paul's saying, like, was it a sin for me to lower myself in order to elevate you, by preaching the gospel of God free of charge? I know Pastor Billy, he worked at many churches for nothing, but he also was just so very humble. And, the man had a PhD, and he didn't go around telling anybody that.
Right.
Nobody was to call him Dr. Karnick. Like, he's Pastor Billy. He's like, call me Pastor Billy, and that was fine for him. And it, you know, some other of our friends who are, like fancy preachers, you kind of like, they'd like look down their nose at him, because who's this little old man, who, yeah, I'm sure he loves Jesus, but what's he doing? He doesn't have a 3,000 person church. He's not driving a Cadillac. He's not. And yeah, it's just very interesting. And I think Paul's kind of saying the same sort of thing. He's like, I came in and he started this church. Like, come on, don't forget the roots.
Right.
He preached there. He led. He's writing these beautiful letters all for free. Not that he ever asked for money, but he's saying, I took support from other churches so that I could serve you, because he's a missionary and he started this church and he was interested in supporting this church. He says he never asked for any money. He never wanted to be a burden. And he just wants to serve Jesus. So, how many times have we kind of, and I mean, it's even like with people you probably know at work or at school, right? That person who maybe has it all together and is a little more charismatic, like, and you're drawn to them. You want to be their friend because like they look the part or something, but then there's like this perfectly nice person that's sitting and eating by themselves that you could just as easily talk to.
Right.
And we get blinded. We get blinded. I know that's what happens, but this clearly was happening even at the church in Corinth.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
They're being human. But Paul's like, let's talk about this. I'm going to call you out on this a little bit. I don't know. Do you guys want to chime in on this? Have you ever kind of seen this phenomenon? Some of you have probably seen it with Pastor Billy, with my father-in-law who's now in heaven. People treated him a little different, even though, like I said, he had so much knowledge, he had so much love, he had a PhD, but he just he didn't need or command that respect. Like, it wasn't about his ego. So, but do you guys know people who have either been looked over? Have you ever been looked over because maybe people didn't think you were the part? Or have you been drawn to people who are like fancy and notice that you kind of leave other people out? It's a human thing. I just tell you that it's a human thing. But if you want to share with that, or just give us a thumbs up if you've kind of done it. Like, I'll say I've done it too. So yeah, sorry to all the people that have probably done it too.
Hi, Rich.
Hey, Rich, good to see you. Chow, chow, chow. Now I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Okay. Between gravy and chow. Now we're ready for dinner. Okay. Anyway, I don't know where you stopped. Oh, at the end of 11?
Yes.
Yes. God knows he does. I love that part.
Let's see. So verse 12 says, "But I will continue to do what I am doing in order to deny an opportunity to those who want to be regarded as our equals in what they boast about. For such people are false apostles, deceitful workers, disguising themselves as apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So it is no great surprise if his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness. Their end will be according to their works."
There you go.
Let's highlight that.
It's a good one. Highlight, circle. There you go. Got my highlighters. Highlight. It's kind of funny when you talk about false apostles and then talk about Satan. Like, oh.
Yeah, and how it says, and so his servants also disguise themselves. Sometimes we don't
Yes.
Sometimes we don't realize that we're doing his work, because we're blinded by him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's scary.
And they're actually, it says that the false apostles, they're masquerading as apostles of Christ. So they're actually not just masquerading as like Christians, but they're masquerading as pastors. They're masquerading as leaders. And woo, we've got to be careful.
Right.
We've got to be so careful, because it says that Satan masquerades as an angel of light. And of course the servants masquerade as servants of righteousness. So, what we know about Satan is that he probably does not have hooves and a tail and horns. He's probably not red. He probably doesn't have a pitchfork, because what we know about Satan, about Beelzebub, or this created being, is that he was the most beautiful created being. Like, when I see him someday with maybe different eyes, I imagine we will be floored. We will be floored. The most beautiful created being. This is, if you saw that, wouldn't your eyes, your flesh just go, oh, they've got to be good. Look how pretty they are. Look how well, it's like, look how God created him. The most beautiful being. Yet, right? Yet, he is not. He is not the outside doesn't match the inside. Is that it?
Yeah. And that's so funny because that you mentioned that, because Sawyer and I were on the way here, we're listening to the Bible,
Yeah, the chapter.
Yes. And he said, Mom, it was around this part here. He said, Mom, I met this man at the park. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on here? Like, tell me about this man. He's like, no, he's a nice guy. And I was like, Sawyer, no. Like, do not talk to this man again.
Yeah.
Because
stranger danger.
Yes, exactly. I said, because he described him, and I said, look, I've known bad. I was like, I don't want to describe him the way that Sawyer did, but I said, bad people come in different types of clothing, right? They come in suit and ties. They come, holding a cardboard sign. They said they're sometimes even family members and friends. So
Absolutely.
You don't know who you're talking to until you find out who you're talking to, you know. And
until it might be too late.
Yeah.
Like
you said earlier, until you invite them home and
let them
and camp out and
put them in the front pew. Put it, put them in the. Oh, yeah. I'm like, hey, sorry, we have audiences here. But yes, it's. Rich says, don't judge the book by its cover. That's absolutely true, because, but in the reverse, right? It's like, normally we would say don't judge a book by its cover, when you see like a person who is in like tattered clothes, and you would dismiss them, kind of like Pastor Billy was often kind of dismissed by the fancier preachers, that, even in our denomination. But it's the reverse as well, right?
Right.
You see somebody well-dressed. You see Satan, the most beautiful created creature, and you think that they're good.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. So I guess in a way that's kind of judging a book by its cover, because what looks good isn't always good, and
and it's just a cover.
It is.
It's just a cover, right? It's just, sorry, I'm deflected.
Conflicted? Deflected?
Dyslexic. Oh,
that's
but
right.
You know what? No, but we like this point, because it's true backwards and forwards, right? It's good if you see somebody who's shiny and a smooth talker, and you're like, oh, that, I want to be in their ministry, or I want to be, on their team, or I want to be their friend. And that's exactly what I think what you're saying is like, just because they
Right.
look, you know, Pastor Billy wasn't, like, he was just a cute little old guy.
Mhm.
But that guy was that guy had like sanctification like wrapped up with a bow.
That's
Man was
right.
holy, 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 and you may have passed him by for that reason or because of how he looked. And Tracy says, always be on guard, no matter what they
No
look
matter what
like.
they look
It's
like.
true. It's true. But also don't pass over people just because of what they look like.
Right.
I think, I was talking to Tim, we were talking about Tim Karnick, my brother-in-law, we were talking about discernment. And honestly, that's been something that God has helped me with over the years. I've definitely prayed for it. I don't know if any of you guys have the gift of discernment. I know that you do. I know that, Veronica has kind of said, oh, red flag to situations,
Mhm.
to like church situations, not just to people, but it's
Right.
like, that doesn't seem right, feel right, look right, and that's just discernment. And we're going, yeah, maybe we should not just
Maybe.
assume so
Right.
quickly.
Yeah. And so we're so like trusting, like he trusts everyone. Yeah. That's why, and that's
That's
what's scary for
and
me,
that's the great thing for kids. I
It is.
mean, I love it because they, we talk so much about like, anyway, I guess I shouldn't go there, but we talk so much about like race in schools.
Mhm.
And, I work a lot with elementary schools, and these kids have no idea that anybody is any different color. Like, really, they don't. In kindergarten, in first grade, in second grade,
Right.
nobody, like, I mean, unless they're taught that at home, that nobody is like, they just, can you be my friend?
Mhm.
You have red hair, you have black hair, you have yellow hair. It's just like they really don't care, and kids are great that way. So it's okay for a child to be trusting, but
Yeah.
people can also take advantage. That's where the mama, dads, they need to protect. Unfortunately, it's not like it used to be. Anyway, did we go off on a tangent enough? All right.
A little bit. But it's okay.
But we're talking about false
We
apostles,
are.
and we're talking about Satan disguising himself, because he does. And he's in the church, even disguising himself as a servant of righteousness. You need to be on guard, like Tracy said. You need to
Mhm.
have discernment. You need to pray. You need to stay prayed up. That is helpful. Mama Rose will tell you that every time. Stay prayed up. Make sure, that you've got that good relationship going, so
Yeah.
that you've got help. Backup. Holy backup.
That's right. Let's see. We are on 16.
Yes.
Okay. It says, I repeat, let no one consider me a fool, but if you do, at least accept me as a fool so that I can also boast a little.
Apostle Paul. That's funny.
Yeah. What am I saying in this matter of boasting? I don't speak as the Lord would, but as it were foolishly. Since many boast according to the flesh, I will also boast. For you, for being so wise, gladly put up with. For you, being so wise, gladly put up with fools. In fact, you put up. You sorry. In fact, you put up with it if someone enslaves you, if someone exploits you, if someone takes advantage of you, if someone is arrogant toward you, if someone slaps you in the face. I say this is to our shame. We have been too weak for that.
Mm-hmm.
But in whatever anyone dares to boast, I am talking foolishly. I also dare. Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they descendants of Abraham? So am I. Are they servants of Christ? I'm talking like a madman. I'm a better one with far more labors, many more imprisonments, far worse beatings, many times near death. 5 times I received the 40 lashes minus one from the Jews. Sorry, I don't mean to. It's just amazing.
That's overwhelming. Yeah.
Yeah. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I received a stoning. 3 times I was shipwrecked.
Mm.
I have spent a night I've spent a night and a day in the open sea. On frequent journeys, I faced dangers from rivers, dangers from robbers, dangers from my own people, dangers from Gentiles, dangers in the city, dangers in the wilderness, dangers at sea, and dangers among false brothers. Wow.
Yeah, you can see right there that, Paul has the credentials. He has the
I
credentials.
think so.
Many of us are doing the Lord's work, and I haven't had to put up with any of that, is right, or had to endure any of that. He definitely has the ability to boast. He says boast. I don't know that it's even boasting, right? It's like he's just saying, you've got to be careful who you're listening to, because you are receiving people, you are listening to people that you shouldn't be. And he says in 19, you gladly put up with fools since you are so wise. Whew, there's some sarcasm right there. Since you are so smart, you are listening to really dumb people. Don't do that. And then he says again, he said that before. He's like, people who enslave you, exploit you,
slap you in the
face. And like it says before, like, you put up with that so splendidly. So he says it again, to my shame, I admit that we were too weak for that. Like, you can't, what are you doing? What are you doing? And so, here's where you can kind of talk, here's where we can maybe see a little bit that presenting his credentials at this point is very wise, because he can kind of say, look at what you're doing here. Look who you're listening to here. You're listening to polished, pretty people. Not saying that Apollos was bad. He was not. He just was, the word on the street is that he was a little more polished than Paul. And, and he wasn't a false teacher. But other people are coming in, and they're clearly entertaining what it is that they are saying. And so then he's saying, like, so are they Hebrews? So am I, right? Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they Abraham's descendant? So am I. Are they servants of Christ? I am more. Wouldn't that be awesome to be able to say that? Like, I am more. And I don't think, I get it. Some people probably say, oh, he is boasting. But like, read the credentials after that. He is more.
Yeah.
We should all be more. He has definitely put his life on the line many times.
And still remain faithful.
Right? At what point would you go running for the hills? At what point would you, kind of say, yeah, like one more stoning, like I'm, the thing where it says in verse 24, it says, he received 40 lashes minus one for the Jews, so that they didn't kill them. They would do 3 sets of 13 lashes. And again, like, these are, these are the hard ones, the ones that, like, rip the flesh off your body. They would do 13 on the back, and then 13 on the side, and 13 on the side. And supposedly that would keep you from dying, just so that, I guess, they could get their point across, but not kill you, because, that's kind of the Romans' deal. So, and that was the Romans' deal. The Romans are the ones that would beat them with rods. Great. Okay, so he's been beaten with rods 3 times. The stoning, 3 times he was shipwrecked. I don't know if I would step on another boat
after the first one.
Like, whoo, no, thank you. Day and night in the open sea, like without a ship. That's kind of scary. He's been on the move, and like he says, rivers, bandits, countrymen. Gentiles, the city, the country, the sea, and from false brothers. He's gone hungry and thirsty and without food. Paul, I think he's absolutely right when he says in verse 23, are they servants of Christ? I am more.
Mhm.
And I'm giving you that, Apostle Paul. You are more. Rich says, is it better to boast or be more humble? I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. He is saying, I think he's kind of like joking a little, like, I'm going to boast. Like, and he keeps saying, like, I'm talking like a foolish person. Or he says, I'm talking like I'm out of my mind. And that's why this chapter is a little bit strange. He really is kind of talking about things that maybe he normally wouldn't. But like we said, I think he might need to address these false teachers and to, like you're saying, show his credentials.
Yeah. And I think this looks a little bit to me like an argument, like when you're arguing with someone and they think they know it all and you're just like, okay, sure. Like, let's just, yep, it's whatever you say, it's this and it's that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you've done that, but when you can't get that point across to someone, you just kind of go along with them. And he's like, sure, let's boast. He said, I've been through all of this and I've been through that, and this is just so frustrating.
Yeah, so I think he's
he's
being a little bit sarcastic, right? Because he's saying like, well, if we're gonna boast, then then let's boast.
Then let's boast.
Let me tell you what my credentials are, and as strange as it seems, I think we're kind of understanding that the Apostle Paul really needed to do this to address the poison, the toxicity in the church in Corinth at this time.
Yeah. So I think, Rich, is it better to boast or be more humble? And I think in Paul's case, he was very humble about everything he went through, right? He always put God first. He always gave God credit. And that's his boasting. That's his boasting. If you're going to boast about what the Lord has done for you and what he brought you out of or from. So yes, be humble. But if you're going to boast about what the Lord has done for you.
Yeah, I think, so I think you see right to the heart of it, that this is a little, there must be a reason for this and for this diatribe that he is going through. And Rich, you're saying, sure, there's a time and a place for everything. That's right. That's in the Old Testament as well. Thanks. You're welcome. But it's kind of cool because he does do this. We are really able to see what it is that like this is I don't know, I feel like this is like Paul's testimony, like
I think so.
Condensed.
It is.
Because you could know this about Paul if you went through the whole Bible and picked everything out, but he's just saying it all here. Oh, yep. Tracy says, well said, Veronica. Absolutely.
It is not I, but
no, she's good.
Thank God.
She's good. That's why she's here. She's so good. So, yeah. So it's well, I think there's more.
There is. There's
Wait,
more.
There's more.
27. Toil and hardship, many sleepless nights, hunger and thirst often, without food, cold and without clothing, not to mention other things. There is a daily pressure on me, my concern for all the churches, who is weak and I am not weak, who is made to stumble and I do not burn with indignation. If boasting is necessary, I will boast about my weaknesses. The God and Father of the Lord Jesus, who is blessed forever, knows I am not lying. In Damascus, a ruler under a king Aretas guarded the city of Damascus in order to arrest me. So I was let down in a basket through a window in the wall and escaped from his hands.
And how embarrassing is this too? I mean, if you just think about it, this is a well-educated man who had who used to have a lot of power. He was one of those religious rulers, religious leaders. He did have like a, maybe a more comfy life, and, and had lots of people, not bowing down to him, but he had great respect in the synagogue and great respect in the marketplace, and people listened to him. And now he's like a fugitive. And here's this guy who's so smart, who's really had his life changed by Jesus, and he's got to be like let down out of a window through a basket. It's like when we have evangelists come, we put them up in nice hotels. We make sure that they're well fed. When I speak at retreats or anything, like I get treated so well. They're so sweet and so grateful. I'm not let out of a basket, out of some window. It's like he's being treated like the lowest of the low, even though he is he's the super apostle. He's the super apostle. It's crazy.
So.
Yeah. He talked. Did he talk about fasting? I can't remember. Maybe it's just that he has known hunger and thirst.
Right.
Anyway, he's in verse 30. If I must boast, I will boast of the things that show my weaknesses, or show my weakness. And all of these things that he has gone through, they're really rough physically.
Yes.
Really rough physically. The dude is a super apostle. And so, for whatever reason, these false teachers were deceiving the Corinthians, and the Apostle Paul needed to reestablish his credibility and his credentials. That's kind of what we're seeing. I hope you can kind of see it here. So he had to go through all of this bad stuff, right? And honestly, there's more bad stuff to come for the Apostle Paul. This is not the worst of it. We haven't even talked about how it is, how he is martyred for his faith eventually. So he's got a rough life, and that's what he's trying to convey to these Corinthians. Like, you can trust me, you can listen to me. I've got credibility here. Don't listen to those false teachers. They're dangerous. So that's a great lesson for us today. Because the devil parades as he's parades as an angel of light. He pretends to be an angel of light.
That's right.
And he is pleasing to look upon, but he is not pleasing. And so we just always have to be aware. I think there we go. History repeats itself again and again and again and again. Mm-hmm. There's nothing new under the sun, as King Solomon says. So, yeah, very interesting. But I'm feeling very grateful, like to have read a lot about the Apostle Paul. Yeah. I am impressed. Mm-hmm. He can boast. He can boast around me. I'm okay. Because
Tell me all about it.
Yeah, because wow. Again, because I'm thinking, I haven't gone through that for Jesus. Yeah. And I'd like to think that I would, but I haven't been treated. I don't know that any American pastor has had to go through this.
Floggings.
Yeah, not yet. Mm-hmm. Not yet.
Not today.
Not today. That's right. Today's not over, but not today. But there are pastors and people, people who are serving God all over the world, and there are still martyrs. Absolutely. And we pray for them, and we send missionaries to other parts of the world. So we got to talk to my sister-in-law, Joy, who is my brother's sister. She's in Tanzania right now, and we got to
Oh, fun.
FaceTime with her today and see some of the people there. Our ministry sent laptop computers, and like not like brand new laptop. They don't even need that. They just needed some laptop computers, and so we sent laptop computers, and
Oh, nice.
they were just so grateful, so thankful, and they're talking about something that they needed, and we're like, well, can you just get like a external keyboard, blah blah blah, and they're like, what do you think there's like a Radio Shack or like a something on every corner? They're like, no.
Do they still have those Radio Shacks?
Oh, I guess not. We're dating
I
ourselves
don't
here. I'm glad you knew what it was. Yeah, I think that went out of business.
I think
So, and then we're like, well, can we mail it? And they're like, well, they don't have mail. They don't have addresses. They don't have like a centralized post office. So
to the hut next to the tree, next to the well.
that's it. They're like, but when you send it, like it goes to the government, and then the people
Where does it go?
they steal it, and then they sell it in the stores. So yeah, don't send stuff to Tanzania. You literally got to take it there. But these are the people that are doing so. They they're suffering for Jesus. I'm sleeping in a in an outdated bed, but it's okay. It's still my mattress, and it's still a decent mattress. I get to sleep on that at night, and I think it's a good time to kind of just recognize not everybody lives the great life that we are so blessed to live here in America. Politics aside, we have it really well here. We should be doing a lot more to tell others about Jesus, because nobody's going to stone us. They might turn their nose up, or they might laugh at us. Please, that's not hard. You're not suffering for the gospel if someone calls you a Jesus freak. That's not suffering. So anyway, I'll get off that horse and or off that soapbox. But what a great time to talk about Paul. Thanks, Apostle Paul. Can't wait to meet him in heaven someday. I'm sure he's got lots more stories, right?
I'm sure. Yeah.
Good stories. Well, that is Corinthians 11. You have anything you want to add? She's the brains of the operation.
Let's see. We have Pastor Dan and Gay tomorrow. Tune in for that. They're coming in at 7 and studying the book of Genesis. Yeah.
Yes, they're teaching tonight at a forum for creationists. That's kind of their hobby, is that they really have learned how to explain creation and how it is completely in the Bible, kind of versus evolution, or that there's actually science behind being in believing that the God of the universe created everything. So they're actually at a symposium tonight. They're speaking there, and so maybe we'll get to hear a little bit about that tomorrow night. Tune in at 7. Maybe they'll share a little bit about what they're talking about. So talking about immunity, they're talking about all sorts of great stuff. They're smart.
Oh yeah,
they're smart. So that's tomorrow at 7.
Yes, and then we have Sunday service at 5, our evening Sunday service. Tune in for that, and then we're back Tuesday at
7 in John, and here at 7.
Wednesdays at 7.
There you go. 2 Corinthians. We are almost done with 2 Corinthians. So Galatians is next. That's so good. These are all like shorter. We're going to be flying through these books a little bit faster, but yeah, it's not like we're doing like the book of this and we're going, and it's taken us months and months. It's going to be a little bit faster, but so amazing. They're great. I like them. He's probably talking about us.
Or Dan and Gay.
Just kidding. I know. I'm just messing with you, Rich. Thank you, man. We like them too.
Yeah,
we like them
great.
too. And I love how they teach and what they teach.
That's right.
So tune in tomorrow night, and
And we hope you guys have a great week. Next week, how about you guys let us know where you guys saw Jesus and how you shared Jesus, or his word and what you learned today.
I think
Just
that's
to
great.
kind of see what you guys have been up to.
What have you been up to? That's what we want to know. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? What are we doing?
Yeah, we read what Paul did.
And we've been humbled.
So.
And we've been humbled.
I think
so
we got to step it up a bit.
yeah, you don't need to do all that, but it just really is so wonderful to have that opportunity to share Jesus. Yeah. So do that this week. It's good for us. Yeah. It's good for you. It's good for the kingdom.
It is.
So thanks everybody. 1 minute to spare. Look at us.
Go.
We started a couple minutes late, but thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.